Hello, welcome to the Z and Zed show. My name is Z.
And I'm Zed.
And we're gonna go a little wider.
Oh.
This is the Z and Zed show on YouTube, where today we're gonna be talking about enhancing your 3D printing experience with tools, accessories, printed parts, decorative and functional, all kinds of stuff to show off today. We brought an assortment of items, each our own, and more importantly, we're interested in hearing what you guys do to, I don't know, enhance your 3D printing experience. A lot of stuff you can do, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's tons and tons and tons of things that you can do. And this has actually come after quite a few coffee talks where we've talked about this topic, and we're actually really excited to finally end this part of the series. This is like a 3-part series that we've done about starting out with 3D printing and what you might need. And I see lots of fun people in chat. So thank you everybody for joining us. We are live. This is recorded, a live show recorded. So yeah. So just wanna let's say hi to a couple people that that decided to join us. Zombie is low.
A little.
And my mouse is somehow stuck over here on my iPad, thinking, oh, here we go. So in chat, we've got a Fat Boy, we've got RC Maniac, we've got Fix'em Dude, we've got Justin, we've got Non-Fam, we've got K2 Kevin, RC Maniac, Royal Nomi, DC Sublime, Mud Wars, aka Ron's Mini RV Life, Mighty Bean, Brian Farmer, RJ in 3D, Taiwan Rider, lots of people. So we've got some lots of friends from Twitch, and I saw Pink earlier. She's actually minding the deck. Deddy is here, I see. Airs WV. Lots of our MakerDeck friends are here. So thank you for joining us. Nice shirt, Austin.
I'm gonna say it is. Look at this shirt. I don't wear this too often. I only wear it on streams, but it's the Tales from MakerDeck Attack of the Spaghetti Monster shirt. Oh boy, I just had a pretty big spaghetti monster. Not fun. It did some damage to my Rapido. Again, more spaghetti.
Ouch.
What actually happened was the spaghetti got into the fan, stopped the fan from spinning, and now I have an internal blob of death. So it's like a 2-part problem. Yeah. Have you ever had that?
Oh
spaghetti
no!
And a blob of death?
Well, I know what I want to tell you. So I have a surprise for you, Austin.
Surprise.
Yeah. So I've been working on something on the Prusa. I actually had a nozzle clog, but I have a fun surprise. Working on it all weekend, actually, thanks to our friend, the Coaster King. I'm going to call him that because, you know, he's not just a clip.
Hey,
so we have, so we've got Biggie Big. Of course, this is this is the background is the Galaxy Black, but then we've got Sparta colors and Polyalchemy Elixir, and I've done a few of these. So yeah, we have, and then the very last one, I had a nozzle clog, so we've got some fun infill.
Some infill, I like it.
Yeah, but look, we got a Z and Z. This is a biggie size. This is for a very large drink. But yeah, we've got our logo as a coaster. So thank you, Kevin, for making this.
That's awesome. I need to print one of those now.
Yeah, this one of course I love because it's like all the right colors. We've got some Polymaker blue silk, lime green silk. We've got of course the Galaxy Black, and then 2 Sparta colors too. So we got a mix of everybody in this one. And this I used my Polyalchemy Elixir, which is, you know, very precious because there's not that much left. So yes, this is for an American sized drink, and this is for a Canadian sized drink. So yeah, so that's a surprise.
That looks really cool.
I was so excited to
let me print that.
So that's actually, I actually have one printing on behind me, and I'll be able to put that on MakerDeck finally, and not just show my focus, which I'm I'm struggling with. It's mostly the bed leveling, but yeah.
Oh, you want to learn more
Yeah,
about
so-
bed leveling and ways to fix that? You should check out a previous episode of the Z and Z Show where we
Yes.
talked all about hardware upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
All right, so that was like a surprise make of the week, but what is your make of the week?
My make of the week. What is make of the week? What I put? Okay, so I put the Lego motor adapter. So, as some of you may know, I am building a death racer / battle racer for the Rocky Mountain Rip Rap Fest. So I have a bunch of electronics, and I don't have a chassis yet. So I decided to print off camera. There it is. A 540 sized RC motor to Lego Technic, building block system adapter. Even the output shaft, it's just friction fit on. It seems to work fairly well. So this will work with Technic. And on my stream, I think on Saturday, I was putting together this monstrosity where I was just testing it out. And I will be building some type of Lego tank with it when it's not 2 a.m. So that'll be fun.
2 a.m. Yes, that's when fun things. Oh, we've got Devin in chat too. Hello, Fucho.
Yeah.
So we've got lots of friends.
Does
here.
work. Does work. Very surprised.
Mm-hmm. So you're pleased with your progress then?
Yes. Yes.
right.
Much more progress to go. And
so I
keep the
have
progress.
Yeah, I have two makes for this week. We have had a lot of our makers starting to they're starting to learn different CAD programs. They're doing design, and I sort of coached. I definitely coached the black sheep through his. And I don't have any chopsticks right here. What is wrong with me? I had chopsticks right by my desk all week. Anyway, we had two people do the several, actually more than two people. A bunch of people did the chopstick holder challenge or whatever for printables. So one of them I have right here. The other one must have fallen off my desk. But the black sheep, he did one model. I only did half of the first model that he did. And as you can see, the chopsticks would go through here, and then you'd have the other side with the tail. But like really nice chopstick dragon. And I convinced him. I said, not everyone's going to print this. You have to live in reality when it comes to like a lot of these things with printables. There's a lot of people that, hey, I know from experience, people don't like doing color swaps, So I asked him to scale it down, and he did. So he did another dragon. So he went from this big boy to this guy, and of course the chopsticks fit on the top of the head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Useful.
And ChmNrd, wherever ChmNrd is, your model has disappeared from my desk and it's actually so small and so awesome that I don't know where I put it. But his was.
He chopped it.
He did chop it. He did chop it. But ChmNrd's was on my desk. These things happen. Anyway, he did a little card-sized chopstick holder. It basically it prints out like a little card, and then you just fold it, and there's a little tab, and it's awesome. I definitely have pictures of it. I could show a quick picture. I feel like I'm sorry I failed you. Such a shame. Okay, here we go. There it is. I wonder if people can see it. Yeah, there you go. See, it's so small that maybe I left it in my wallet, but that's an awesome chopstick holder. And of course, last week I think I showed the K2, what is it called? K2 clipstick hidden dragon. Yeah, and the dragon has a K2 clip for the tail because yeah, my chopsticks they're all in the kitchen where they should be. So, so anyway, the chopsticks thing, and also I'll talk about the rest later.
Sure.
Okay, so what are we working on this week?
Well, I have this stack of many colors, if you can see. This is, I can zoom myself in a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah, this is the continuation of the IKEA lac table, and I'm actually printing down here on this printer. I'm printing off the legs, so I'm gonna have 4 legs, which is typical for a square table. And the tops are all printed. I have not tested the fitment yet. If anything, it should be a little snug, which is good. I can kind of form it into shape, but I have all kinds of prints. And what I did for this model is you see the top is a very specific color. So I picked what color I was gonna put on top. And then I either used up the rest of the spool if it wasn't very much left, or I just color swapped into something else. And something like this, for example, I did 4 because I just used up a bunch of spools that didn't have much left on them. So
That's
this whole
fantastic.
thing, if you notice right behind me, these are all spools that I've used on this project. So that's kind of me collecting spools that just don't have anything left on them that's usable for, you know, like a larger thing. I can do smaller prints on them, but if I'm going to print something big, then that used up a few spools. And I'm printing off the rest of the legs just in the same color for mostly for looks, but this is Polymaker's draft PLA. I'll do that for the legs, and then I'll print off the screws to connect them, and it's probably something like either an ABS or a PLA, regular PLA.
Speaking of Polymaker, we do have a giveaway, which is pinned at the top of chat. And also, speaking of big things, I am working on, I forgot, I've got 2 projects that I'm working on. One is the 1000% MakerDeck logo. So behind me, right there, is the 550% MakerDeck logo. I'm going to put a picture in chat so you can get an idea of the scale. This is piece number 12 of, I think, 16 pieces. There are some pieces that are a little bit smaller. Like this piece is a little bit smaller, but I think there's 16 pieces. And if Kevin wants to show, he's pretty much finished he's doing his slices. But I'll give you an example of what one slice looks like for this. So this is this, I'm really good at puzzles. And yeah, here we go. This is one slice. This is one slice of the MakerDeck logo that we're working on. So in comparison, so in comparison to like what a normal MakerDeck logo, actually I think this is bigger than the normal MakerDeck logo. So this is one slice of you know. So this will go. This piece will go what in here? Yeah. This is ginormous. So this is a really fun project. We're doing this for the through the MakerDeck Opportunities for Moms program, or MakerDeck Opportunities for MakerDeck Opportunities for Makers program. Of course, you could be a mom and a maker. Most moms are makers, right? Anyway, through the mom program, this is a MakerDeck Polymaker project for this giant thing. One. I don't know how to talk today, so it's okay. It's okay.
And chat,
and the other
link to that table for anyone interested.
Perfect. And we will have links in the description too. And then the other thing I'm working on is I discovered that the original file for this tulip vase that I've been printing for like a year almost, the original file is not that great. And also it's very short and so I didn't realize that I had been altering this model for almost a year already. So I'm going to be doing a remix and posting that on printables because the original is not on printables and no one's going to get the effect of this particular tulip vase, but I'm going to be enhancing it a bit too. So this is going to be my next project in Tinkercad.
I love that color combo on that. That looks really good.
This is a Sparta pink yellow. Yeah, it's really cool, and it turned out neat. It'd be kind of cool because you know the way tulips are. It would if it was going the other way, but it's all good. Yeah, I did use it for the Z in the logo. So yeah, so that's kind of what I've been working on. again, as I've mentioned in MakerDeck chat before, if there's something that you want, I have 2 printers, so I can definitely, yes, Top Shelf Maker is a mom. There we go. If you do have something you want someone to test, ask people in chat. There are people with printers all the time. There are people that are willing. So, I mean, this was just one that I did. I've done other people's, test printed things that haven't even been released. And as long as I have a functioning printer, I'm willing to test it out for you. And I think that goes for pretty much everyone involved in MakerDeck.
That's
just
a great
ask
way
in
to get
chat. Say,
involved. Yeah, you're making something.
I'm working on a model. Can someone test it? Just, if it's going to be like 10 hours, be aware that some people might not. But, and I actually did this. I did this on the Focus. So I was quite impressed with how it printed on the Focus. So, nice. we've got Omaha in chat now. So, yeah. So tonight we are talking about something that we've been talking about for a while. And that is, of course, mom. So the other thing that I'm working on right now is, and Austin's going to be working on it with me too, is we're doing the next round of mom selections. So the MakerDeck Opportunities for Makers program, our current partner with that is Polymaker, and Polymaker wants people to choose a project. And so the project that you would work on would use up at least 1 spool of filament. That's what they'd like to supply you with. For example, Fat Boy, who's in chat right now, he's doing treasure chests, a bunch of treasure chests for his daughter's birthday party. We had Josh, Monsoon Josh, he did MakerDeck drippy pails for teachers at his school. We've had people do planters. We've had people do the puddle jumper from Stargate, a ship. So we want you to have a project in mind, a specific project in mind. Kevin's working on the 1000% MakerDeck logo. And so when you have a project in mind, you submit the idea for the project, and we'll take a look at it and use our judgment. And we haven't gotten to the point where we have too many submissions, but we always
get in while it's early. Much better odds of getting
get in now while it's early. Yeah, because otherwise it's going to have to be a random draw. So we want people to have the opportunity to. And what you do is you share what your project is by printing it on MakerDeck. With Mom, we are also looking for partners to do projects that aren't necessarily 3D printing. So anyone who has connections to different companies, if someone wants to even, we'll see what we can do, like printer builds, all sorts of things. But we'd like to connect it through Mom.
Yeah, give us your suggestions. If you think of a possible connection, let us know over in DMs or in the Discord. Just let us know. Or maybe you are listening to this, have something you want to sponsor. Go ahead, message us. Love to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing that's happening is a little bit more programming with MakerDeck. So I've been trying to get people a little more active. I will link in the description. I am having trouble hopping between screens right now to link it, but we're getting more people involved in our coffee talk conversations. So tomorrow, actually, we changed the time for coffee talk. It's going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific, so 2 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be joined by none other than Chris Perillo. And Chris is going to be sharing what he's been up to, because I'm sure a lot of people are like, what's going on? Why are there like 2 24/7 streams? And why is this going on here and that going on there? So Chris is going to talk to us a bit about the latest project. And also on Thursday, we will be joined by Matt Stultz. So Matt Stultz is I think he's like the head of community engagement for Prusa. So we'll be talking about printables. We'll be talking about his experience as a maker. And then this weekend, starting on, it's either Saturday, I know definitely on Sunday, I have Fix-Em Dude in the schedule. So you are going to actually get to meet Fix-Em Dude. One thing that I was going into this year, I really wanted to introduce people to more of who is MakerDeck, and people outside of MakerDeck as well. So you are going to get to meet ChmNrd for the first time. I did an interview with him before, but he is going to do a face reveal. So we get to see how handsome ChmNrd is on Sunday. And I believe I have that scheduled for 1:30 Eastern. I'm also scheduling in Wexter. So we're going to talk to Wexter. And we've got more coming. So this weekend's going to be fun. We're trying to do some more events. And if you're interested in sharing your story as a maker, certainly get in touch. And I think this going to be a great interview series. We have over 360 makers now with MakerDeck. So I mean, I could do one a day. Or if you'd like to be someone that actually does the interviewing, that's part of programming. So we're doing our best to keep things active. So these interviews, I'm going to try to do the interview on Twitch, save the recording, and publish the recording over here on YouTube. So this is a little bit of an ambitious project, but I am a fairly decent video editor, so that's not, I'm not afraid to do that. But the recording is going to that'll be fun. We'll see what happens.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that's the other thing that we've been working on. And I mean, we're halfway through our slotted time and we haven't started on the actual topic. So
Topic style.
Austin, I think I'm
Yes.
going to get you to start.
Okay. So we're going to start off this with some tools. And the first one is calipers / ruler. So I always keep my calipers in the case because they are probably the most delicate instrument I have, and I have dropped it a few times. I should probably replace it because the internal measurements are a little wonky, but calipers. These are probably some of the most useful overall tools for your 3D prints because you can print something and measure the size of it. Maybe you're trying to match it up to an existing object. Maybe you're trying to get an internal hole just right. Maybe you're trying to do something random that needs measuring. This style has a little pointy bit so you can measure inside of a hole for depth.
Mm-hmm.
It has this type of measurement. It has this measurement, this measurement. So there's all kinds of measurements you can use this for. Also, for calibrating your printer, I strongly recommend using calipers for calibrating your E-steps. What I'll do is take my filament, like this. I use the outside of my spool. Let me show you.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't realized this, mouse. Here it is. Let me take my clips and cut it flush. But I like to use this side of the caliper in the back.
Okay.
So that right there, from the end of there to the outside of here, that's the measurement. So I like to use this for marking my filament. I used to use this, but it was such a pain. So I use this now. And if you didn't know that, you're welcome. And then a ruler. I'll use a couple different rulers, but I try to use the metric ones, or like one that has metric. I have this one from LDO, which is actually kind of nice. It's just a smaller ruler for measuring smaller things, but it goes in increments of millimeters and is useful for smaller things, getting random sizes, measuring parts. So we don't need the precision of calipers, but just need a nice little measuring tool. This is good too. Then I have some larger ones as well somewhere that are useful for big things.
All right. So I guess the next thing, funny enough, my favorite pair of cutters came from my least favorite printer. So cutters.
And all kinds of shapes and sizes.
Yeah, I have. I don't use scissors. Use like fine, like precise cutters to cut your filament. You want to, no matter what printer you have, you want to get it at the as a 45-degree angle, is it?
Yeah, like roughly
cut
45.
your-
Just get
yeah.
a nice tip on it so it's able to slide into your Bowden tube without getting caught.
Yeah, and cutters are also useful for removing supports at times.
Lots of things.
And yeah, lots of things. So make sure you have cutters by your printer all the time, because if your filament's, giving you problems, try to, you can reload it. And yeah, so these are both very similar.
I love these ones right here. These are the Igen P6s. They're much larger and they're a lot easier to just cut stuff, especially filament, than the small ones. So it has a much, much bigger cutting head on here, which is good for you have a little more control. These are actually designed for like snipping electronics and like wire. So they cut really, really well on plastic. And they usually have a spring, but mine sprung out. So it's a manual one. And then one last thing, the strippers. This is something I'll grab in a pinch, but this does have a cutter on them. So if you're stripping, you can also cut at the same time.
Yeah.
And then pliers will have them too. So lots of stuff that cuts in a pinch.
All right. And the next thing on our list is knife, scraper, spatula. I haven't actually really used a scraper because I went from glass to flex sheet.
Yeah.
And so the knife I only really use for, when I've got supports, that I have to deal with. Very rarely do I print so close that I have to do anything with it. And then this, I think I don't know if this came with one of my printers or with some kit or whatever. This one I did used to use with my, there's actually a clip over on MakerDeck. I use this to keep my supports going with tape ones. But yes, you can have lots of knives and also deburring, like to do deburring and stuff on your prints too. But this came from Sparta, actually. This is my favorite knife I've had. So
yeah. I have I'm showing a larger scale version of that utility knife offline.
Yeah, utility knife is great.
Good for lots of stuff, including drywall and cutting off supports. It's really useful for like getting under supports and having a really nice, long, thin one. And you just like get underneath the supports like this. Of course, be careful, but you can get them off like that.
Oh yeah. And if you bake MakerDeck cookies using your MakerDeck cookie cutter, you could also use this to like get your cookies off the cookie sheet.
There you go.
Because Ron's our mini RV life or Mud Wars. He doesn't know about the MakerDeck cookies, so you'll have to learn about that. We do have a maker. If you go into Twitch chat and bang cookie, there's the MakerDeck cookie cutter. And I did make MakerDeck cookies for Earth. All right. So the next thing that we have, aside from the spatulas, the scrapers, there's also things that you can 3D print. We might touch on that later, but to get your prints off the bed, I did fail to mention to get your print off the bed, along with a scraper and spatula, is Pink's hammer. So she has a scraper hammer or whatever for glass beds. You should look it up. Pink 3DP.
For the NEMA hammer, this thing is far more efficient at getting parts off and getting printed parts off.
Yeah, but Pink's is prettier. So
it's true. Very true.
So the next thing we have, I have several of these. This one I have to clean. Is a wire brush, a makeup brush, or a paint brush. And I think I have two out of three. So the wire brush can be used for a couple different things. Mostly, as you can see, cleaning your nozzle. And you can clean this wire brush with another thing that I'll show you in a little bit. But or with another wire brush. And that I generally use to clean off my nozzle, especially when I had the two blobs of death now in my life. And the makeup brush, and you can go now. You can explain what you use it for. Makeup brush is actually great for getting little bits of filament from your gears, going into smaller spaces. Just make sure it's not a makeup brush that you use for makeup or not a paintbrush that you use for paint. It's specifically to keep clean and you can dust in little spaces.
Let's
Yeah.
say, if
So
you
what do you use yours for? Yeah.
Makeup, that's about it.
Makeup?
Say if
Okay,
you
good.
use the metal brushes, the brass brushes, be very, 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 very careful if you're cleaning off your nozzle. A lot of printers have exposed wiring for heaters, and you can
Mhm.
brush up and short out your heater. I've sparked my heater a couple times now, so be careful.
Don't brush your teeth with this, okay?
Ugh.
All right, so the next thing we have are tweezers. Now, if you watch MakerDeck, you see a lot of people go in with their fingers to grab hot filament and things like that. One person that I never see doing that is actually K2. I have a really cool pair of tweezers, and I can get in there and like pull things out of the way. But and also tweezers are good for removing supports and things like that. But yeah, a nice good pair of tweezers. Do you have any?
Yeah, no, but I use my like longer needle nose
Mhm.
pliers. That does work as well. Not as precise, but it's good for like this printer. When it pauses, it goes in the very back for some reason, so it's hard to remove the filament. So having this is nice to get in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just reaching in and grabbing things, like grabbing loose things and whatever random things. Very useful for that. The next thing we have, I actually ended up buying this set after seeing them on a DeWitt, Tim's birthday stream. He had these as a prize for a giveaway, and I was like, I need this. So this is a really nice set of I guess we call them Allen keys. There's other names for them, but
I call them hex keys.
hex keys, Allen
Yes,
keys. Yeah. So I got these
this
are
is
Wera. Yeah.
this is a good set to get. I have them both in imperial metric. For printing, luckily it only uses the metric ones, but
Mm-hmm.
these are nice because they have a ball on the end.
Yep.
Another note, for ball-ended hex keys, do not tighten anything with them. You can use them to get it as like a starting point,
Mm-hmm.
you know, getting a screw in a rough angle, but to tighten it, the ball will strip out the internal hole of your screw. Mainly for the smaller ones, like
Mm-hmm.
1, 2.5 size, but still, just be careful.
Yeah, and the other thing is a screwdriver, and I have a mini screwdriver. I use this so many times on my old Focus printer because I had to take it apart so often. I have other screwdrivers. This was just the one that I had handy,
Yeah.
and this one comes with lots of little. It's got smaller size, and I find that because it's smaller, it's an easier way to get into the smaller bits, and because I can either have it working manual or electric. So it's a
I
great.
have a couple different sizes. I like just straight up, I guess whatever, fixed, you know, single use, not multi bits, like single screwdrivers, essentially normal ones. I like the big ones for like normal use, but the smaller ones, especially like the really micro size screwdrivers, you need those in some cases to assemble things with 3D printers, especially your board, your controller board, having a little mini flathead, that can be useful.
And guess what I get to do soon?
What's that?
I get to
Filament swap.
I get to replace the board on my Prusa. I just got the tracking, so
awesome.
Was it an NC, whatever it's called? I don't know. Anyway, I get to replace the motherboard. Yeah, so that'll be an adventure.
Also, hex keys. You can get them both in a screwdriver and you have as a hex key. So these are probably I would recommend the most for working on printers. The Wera, just like the non-ball ended single tool keys. You can get these on Amazon, but I have a couple different sizes. I have like one of the small ones, one of the bigger ones. That's like only thing I can get them in those sizes. So this is 2, 2.5, and then actually have a little multi-kit. Again, you can see what brand I like, but this is a 1.5 that I stole from a kit. So I use these pretty much the most. And then I'll have to use the larger keys for when I don't have that size.
One tech says, am I going to replace it live on MakerDeck?
Mm.
We'll see. We'll see.
Right.
On mute. I've actually done I've actually operated on printers before on MakerDeck, didn't I? So
yes, you have.
yeah. So
I do have this kit too. This was very inexpensive, and it gives you a wide range of sizes, all the way from big chunky boy down to little teeny weeny. Well, it goes down to 2mm, so not as useful as you'd think for 3D printing, but it's nice to have around just in case like you misplace yours. I always have this set below, where it goes. You'll notice that if you have a spot for something and it sits nicely and it's easy to put back, you'll tend to put it back. So I just leave this in the same spot. I always have everything exactly where it goes.
Yeah. And if it's magnetic, even better. If it's got, yeah. So I'm really trying with this new place. Everything has a place, and there's a place for everything. So we've lost our Austin for a second here. So while we're waiting for him, another thing, a lot of equipment will come with your 3D printer. So for example, this is to change my nozzle. It came with one of my printers, but we totally lost Austin. So I'm going to keep on going. Let the show go on. One thing that I ended up buying was for the Prusa. It's a way to hold up my hot end when I need to replace the nozzle. With the Prusa, it's a little bit tricky. So this is a tool that is actually partially 3D printed, which is interesting. I'm going to mute Austin too, just until he comes back. So, hi. Anyway, so this is a special tool that will hold up my my hot end while I change my nozzle. So it's a very useful tool. Yeah, and I was really interested to see that it appears to be 3D printed. So I got that from Amazon. So there we go. So that's one way. You want to make sure you have all the tools for changing your nozzle. Oh, and we've got an Austin back in a second. So once he's set up, another thing for your nozzle. There you go. You're muted, so I'll unmute. There, you're back.
My extension thingy. Oops.
Oh, okay, you're good. The other thing that you need, of course, for your nozzle is the little needles. And some, like I said, some of these things will come with your printer, but the nozzle, nozzle cleaning. And also, I have something that was made by Bob Carnes. This is specifically for my Prusa. I forget what size, what gauge this is or whatever, but he basically made these little pokey sticks for when your nozzle's clogged. And you go down through the filament feeder and so I have two, which I call Bob sticks. I have Bob right here.
Pretty useful.
Two Bob sticks for my Prusa when I have a jam with my printer. So a 1.7 millimeter, Karen says.
This is my socket wrench, if I missed that segment.
Ooh,
just a little mini handheld one that has, it's a little ratcheting wrench handheld. It's useful because you don't put a lot of force on your nozzle, so it's like great for just getting it on there, and you can kind of hand feel it. And you can adjust this for any of these, I think quarter inch size sockets.
One thing I also forgot when we were going through, oh, I guess it's down the other part. Anyway, I'll just stop now. Anyway,
you can print these too.
So that's cool. So we did nozzle change equipment and nozzle cleaning needles. I also have cool nozzle storage. I think I showed this last week. So
yes, you did.
It's a fun way to like keep track of things. And also you can put old nozzles. Some people like to keep their old nozzles for whatever reason, I guess in case of, emergency or whatever. It's kind of
Yeah,
fun to
too.
see how much they've worn down at times too, but I don't know. Some people like to keep all their filament scraps too, so, each to their own.
Hey, not me.
But
Finally,
no.
not doing that anymore.
You finally let them go?
Yes.
Yeah. The next thing is, of course, for your filament, you want to have storage options and options to keep your filament neat and tidy. So, of course, it's really not a Z and Z if we don't talk about the K2 clip. Yeah, we love it. Shameless. So you can find that on printables. You can find that everywhere. Bang K2 in chat on MakerDeck. And just look it up. It's a lifesaver. So yeah. And for storage, of course, we've got rep racks. Or like Austin, you could just stack it all behind you until
it's not a bad solution. When you have the K2 clip, you don't have to push the filament through the hole like on this spool. So you can't stack your spools when you do this. That's just going to break the filament. So the K2 clips actually allow you to properly stack them, if anything. Although I do not recommend that. Just do yourself a favor and install a K2 clip. A K2 rack on the wall, right?
K2 rack.
K2 rack.
Rep rack, K2 rack, whatever. We like being organized.
Have the end caps for the racks.
Yes, that's true.
Those are nice.
So, yeah. The next thing. Oh, I just discovered this. This is on printables, and you don't realize how as neat and tidy and clean as possible. Part of course, having 3D printers is maintenance. And did we have this for maintenance? Definitely you want to have lube handy. So this is Super Lube for my printers to keep things moving, functioning properly. You want to keep things clean. And one of the things I discovered was how really scary dirty my fans were. So this is a fan rake that you can print. This is a 3D printable fan rake. Some people use cans of air. Be very careful with all of those things because the fans can be fairly sensitive. But definitely keep your printer clean with that type of stuff. All right.
Awesome. I finally ordered a deburring tool. I finally did. I got a kit. I just wanted a really small one, and they just weren't available locally, so I had to get one online. It comes with replacement tips, a couple different style of tips for different parts of your print. But do you have one? Or
I don't have a deburring tool, but one thing that I did find, there's a couple of things that I've used. One is a glass nail file, which I don't have right here, but a glass nail file is less abrasive than and also doesn't leave as much dust and everything. That's really useful. And then also these little dental picks. I played around with the organic supports on this dragon, and so the dental pick is actually able to get in under the scales of this dragon and pick out the stray bits of supports. So it's really useful. Some people also use instead of a deburring tool, they'll use a heated knife, which is like part of a soldering kit, and that's really helpful. Griffin's print farm says diamond file, which is like a glass or diamond file. Some people have, depending on the size of your project, what your project is, you can definitely use like really fine sandpaper, all those sorts of things. I tend to make sure that the supports and that most of my models don't require a lot of post-processing. That's part of who I am. But some people, it's a huge part of it. So that becomes...
It's fun to remove supports sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes they come right off. Sometimes they just stick on like they're part of the model. Note that if you use sandpaper, you will discolor your print. So Don't just take
Yeah.
sandpaper to your nice print. It'll change the color of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
One
plastic.
thing that was a life changer for post-processing, especially when you're doing silks, is a heat gun. So this you know, it gets away the cobwebs first, you know. The size, whatever. Anyway, mine's like a. It's so deceiving though. You're like, oh, this is just a little thing, and this is actually, I could use this if I wanted to do some embossing too. This is great for this particular one. Is good for doing embossing if I wanted to do that. So, oh, and yeah, some people are saying a Dremel tool. Dremel tools are good for post processing. There's all sorts of things that you can use.
I got a cordless one just to make my life a little easier for some situations where I just want to grab this. Although it drains the batteries very quick. It's a lot of power.
Yeah. So the next, and some people, when they don't use a heat gun, like I said, there's the soldering tools, but also a lighter.
Yeah, little mini lighters.
I'm not a lighter person because I've seen people burn their prints. So be very careful. Whatever you're using that involves heat or sharpness, just be careful. Be very careful. Don't be like.
When you cut the end of your sleeving, it's good to kind of catch that on fire for a second and then put it out. And then I like to kind of just like melt the cables in place so they don't fray out. Otherwise, they kind of just go everywhere. So now it's kind of closed. So if you ever have to cut these, just light them up and kind of melt them together.
All right. So next up, we have accessories. So one thing I would like to show people, but I can't because it's currently on my printer, is my Prusa is up on little foam blocks, and that helps with the vibration and the noise. I know that if you ever saw Chris Perillo's, he's actually got his Prusa Mini on concrete blocks. So a lot of people do that to reduce the sound and vibration.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
concrete
do you do any of that?
Absorb. Honestly, ever since I switched over to silent drivers for my prints, I don't. Although it can increase your print quality if you, this is a much longer conversation, but if you place your printer on concrete and decouple it with a foam, or I've used thick mouse pads, that can help actually with your print quality and noise, because you're reducing vibration, which gets translated into your prints.
So one other thing that is an accessory, I guess. Actually, I'm going to show my little accessory tray. This is an accessory tray that was designed by Pink, who's in chat. Pink got a truck today too. So Pink's got a big girl truck now. Anyway, we're excited. We're excited to see what accessories you're going to print for your truck. But one thing that I love, I've used glue stick. I have glue stick, but either Nano or something like Magigoo, even with the best leveling, the best everything, sometimes you do need a little bit of help for your prints, especially when you're doing something like
it does work pretty good.
Yeah, so there's all different brands and stuff, but if you're doing like large things that you want to keep things nice and flat, it's useful. If you ever experience lifting, sometimes those sorts of things help out. Another thing, of course, if you want to have good printing, is using dish soap, or I have actually, is this
fancy?
This ChmNrd or cheeseburger? I can't remember. Cheese bacon, cheese bacon, whatever. I have my little lint-free pads, and I have alcohol. I also have a spray bottle too, and that's for wiping things down. Also, if you cut yourself on some of these sharp tools, you've got first aid right there. So
someone's asking about first aid. A roll of electrical tape does a great job as a wound agent.
True enough.
It does work.
Or
well.
just stick your finger under the nozzle and cauterize with filament. There you go. Not recommended. Don't sue us, please.
Isopropyl alcohol in a spray bottle. This one came with Polymaker's polishing kit to work with. Actually,
mine is somewhere.
That stuff right there. What's it called?
It's across the room.
Polysmooth. There we go.
Polysmooth, yes.
PVB. So having a little spray bottle is very good for applying. I didn't realize how nice it was applying alcohol to your bed, because you should be cleaning off your bed occasionally, because when you touch it, you're transferring oils on your hands. Your hands should be oily.
Yes.
Human. Hopefully human.
I thought you were a
onto
zombie.
your bed.
Hedgehog.
And guess what doesn't stick to oil? Hot filament. So having this does help just make it a bit easier for stuff to stick on. And then, like you said, dish soap. Wash your PEI sheets under the sink. Be very careful with using abrasives, but you can give them a light scrubbing with like a Scotch-Brite pad, a very, very light scrubbing to help.
Or a Scrub Daddy.
Regenerate.
Scrub Daddy's work too. Yeah.
And something mildly abrasive to help kind of free up the surface.
But one thing to remember is when you've washed your plate, use either paper towel or a very clean dish towel and carry it over to the printer. Don't use your hands, because then you're you're defeating the purpose. And then you probably want to use alcohol
hold it like
again.
a record.
Yeah.
Pretend it's like a record. Don't touch this top surface.
Yeah.
Or do and be a monster.
So we did mention lint-free cloths. So paper towel isn't necessarily totally lint-free, but you can get shop towels. Yeah, shop towels are. These pads happen to be. Usually, some of these aren't, generally. So be careful. But I mean, lint is you'll use your judgment for that. And yes, you could use a Perillo pad on your to get filament. That's really tough. Yeah. Just make sure you clean after. So, yes, Gourmet Crate. Applying alcohol is good for avoiding spaghetti monsters. Thank goodness we caught it while you were at dinner. What else do we have here? Accessories. I think we'll skip some of those. Sure. Right? Oh, we already talked about lube. We did talk about lube. So there's different. There's definitely different types of lube.
Oh boy!
You can use.
Yes, there are.
I learned the hard way that the Super Lube synthetic grease it attracts dirt like you wouldn't believe.
Yes.
It is really useful and does help things, but it is really it attracts.
Yeah.
So
that stuff is for ball bearings.
Yeah.
For inside of carriages, not for stuff that's exposed.
I was in a pinch, okay? I did clean up after, but yeah, it did work. But then this, the smaller synthetic lube, this is likely a better option.
Some of that. That sounds I just use super slick stuff. I don't even know what it is, but super slick stuff as my coating for linear rods or stuff that's exposed. Usually lead screws. But for applying thicker grease I mostly use it for linear rails. This works very well.
Yeah, baste a turkey after too.
Yep. Yeah, this is a specific one that comes preloaded. You can find those from different vendors. Yes, the cost ratio of actual, I think this is EP2 grease, it's not cost effective. Just buy it. But otherwise, you're buying this giant tube that you're never going to use. This will treat you well for most printers.
And this is why you can't see YouTube chat. You guys we are after dark, but yes, there's some interesting conversations having. So yes, that is an accessory that you need for maintaining your equipment.
You can enclose your equipment in an enclosure. Maybe I can even show you mine. Mine is called enclosure.
Enclosure. Wow.
In case you ever forget what it is, it's called enclosure. So that's useful for printing ABS, or even if you're in a cold environment. You can enclose PLA to increase your ambient temps. Some people have issues in the winter where their bed can't heat up enough because the environment's just too cold. So putting it in a enclosure can help with that. But
and it's also ABS good for a cat tent.
Well, yeah, good for keeping the cat away from the 3D printer.
That's true.
Jeez.
That's true. Where is Ginger, by the way? Gosh.
Ginger's already made her appearance down here earlier, so I think she's done.
Okay. Okay, she's done. All right. Yeah, so that's that's another thing that you can do, is definitely make sure that your printer environment, and yeah, some people also have like air filters nearby, and that keeps both dust and also if you're working with something that's a little more toxic, including one thing that we actually don't have here is glue. If you're working with different types of glues and stuff, you want to make sure that you've got good ventilation. So
yeah.
and speaking of
CA glue for
ventilation,
random stuff.
yeah,
And
I'm
an
gonna
accelerator. This stuff is
yeah.
nasty. Don't breathe that in.
So another thing that's part of 3D
Or
printing,
glue.
which we just mentioned with the enclosure, is temperature. When I had my first focus printer, I kept on having problems with the prints. I mean, there were 7,000 reasons why. One was that the printer itself was a lemon, but I also realized that the bed was, I set the bed to 60 and it was actually measuring at like 85. So a heat gun like this also can measure for, you know, fevers and stuff, but and this one is both Celsius and Fahrenheit. This is really great for not just measuring your bed, but your nozzle, the temperature of your nozzle, also, you know, all sorts of things. So this is useful.
Make sure that if you use a thermometer like that, know that it's not going to be 100% accurate, and depending on the surface you measure, it might not actually register. You can cheat by putting some tape on a surface, like if you have glass, you probably need to put like tape over the glass first to get a reading.
Yeah.
Same thing for reflective surfaces, etc.
Yeah. And then of course for the environment in general, where your printer is, temperature is like we just said, temperature does affect it. So having both one of these little, you know, $5, $10 temperature and humidity gauges is really helpful. I just moved into a subfloor apartment, and I didn't realize, I thought it was going to be really moist down here, and it got really dry, especially when it was very, very cold. So that, you know, that's something to be aware of, not just for your skin, but also for your, you know, for printing. If you live in an environment, if you live in somewhere like Florida and you don't want to keep your filament out because you don't want, you know, moisture becomes a problem, then this is also extremely useful. Also, if you store cigars, just kidding, but you know. Yeah,
all right.
So.
And we're almost done our list. So as a reminder, we are doing a giveaway from Polymaker. Make sure to enter that. We will be drawing pretty shortly. So
we sort of touched on this before. Yeah. What's a filament spool holder? Actually, there's a few different things. I have custom printed on my Focus, which is over there. The spool holder that it came with was way too small, and actually there's a broken spool of filament on that right now. They would go crashing down the second that, you know, if you're doing a long print, it would eventually slide off. So I actually printed an extender of the spool holder. But for other types of printers, of course, you have other needs, and this is a
it's like you can do a standalone one. I like center spool holders the best because, especially for cardboard, it seems to wear less if you do that. So that's pretty nice. But if you don't want that, then I really like this one. I apologize, I don't know where I got it, but it says G Design. This is one of the first things I printed. My first spool of Polymaker was actually, or PLA, was PLA Pro Red. And I have been using this for a long time, ever since I started printing. And it has 4 bearings and rolls very good.
And we will be linking all of these things a lot of the things that we're sharing with you, we'll be linking them. But we'll also give you the list. We'll see what we can do. See what we can do about links to specific products, or can ask in the comments too. So there you go.
The tush ones, just the little basic ones. They do fall over very easily, so they're not my favorite. But that's why I printed this after, because I just wanted one that was all together. But these are useful if you want to turn a spool of filament into, well, a cereal box into a dry container.
All right, so we're getting into the end of things here. Definitely,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Filament guides, clips. We already talked about. Obviously, we talked about filament clips, and there's a guide that actually comes with that the spool holder that you have. Another thing is what a lot of people like is they like to change the aesthetic of their printer, and it does enhance the experience, and it is an accessory. So, for example, I didn't like, and I was quite jealous of other people because they had really cool knobs for their printer. So I have a knob for my Prusa because I didn't like the triangular thing. And of course, you can go on printables and find all sorts of things. This one was designed by K2, but this is modeled after the Ender knob that he has on printables. But and Pink has a knob on printables as well. And not, what was it? A knob to experience something different. You were in on that joke, right?
Yes, that was,
back in the day.
Oh,
yeah, but yes,
knurled
knurled knobs. Yes, exactly. I actually really like this a lot better. And of course, on my Prusa, anything that's 3D printed on it is replaceable. So it's been really fun to like see. I've had things. I've had parts that I've had to 3D print to replace, but that's yeah, that's a fun thing to be able to do. And we have V-slot inserts. So what are those? Are you going to explain that?
V-slot inserts. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't have any because I'm really too lazy to print not function things, but aesthetic things to my printer. I really should, you know, it makes it your own, but if you tear apart your printer a lot and put it back together, sometimes you don't focus as much on the decorative stuff. So V-slot inserts, you'll see these a lot on MakerDeck, where inside of your extrusions, you can put a printed, like long, thin channel that goes in it and actually does a really good job of preventing stuff from falling in. So if you ever had to like fish out stuff from your extrusion, it just slots in there and makes the whole thing flat.
Yeah, so
they are
totally
quite
ridiculous.
nice. They
keep
are
the junk
functional.
out of those slots. Yeah,
they're actually functional, and they can help your printer look good. If you don't want to be colorful, it's print in black. There you go. But
or you could,
people
but
add them and they look good.
Yeah, there's all sorts of options. Other things that you can do that are somewhat functional and to enhance your 3D printing experience. I know that for a lot of people do a lot of modifications, and there's tons of modifications for every printer. One is fan duct. So you can change your fan duct. Some people like to experiment with that. Some people find that it's helped quiet their printer. It's helped improve their print quality. I don't know a lot about it. I know that, and there's some really pretty ones.
Yes. Yeah, there's really two types. There's the ones that you can just replace on your stock printer tool head to get either better cooling. For some reason, manufacturers don't focus enough on cooling for their printers, which is quite a shame because that's what a lot of limitation is cooling. So you can get better routing of air. You can also print ducts that allow for bigger fans. Sometimes bigger is usually better. Or you can print entire tool head. I'm really liking the Hero Me. We're on Gen 7 now for tool heads. That's like my go-to tool head, which has really nice dual 50-15 ducts on the sides. It's also kind of modular.
Yeah, we're not going to go RC saying we're into mods. We did say accessories. So these are things that can enhance your 3D printing experience. Definitely with depending on your printer, you can go on different websites and see all kinds of different modifications, including tool holders. I have not a tool holder, but I do have on my Prusa, since I'm still using SD cards, I have this cute little SD card holder. Be careful with some of these tool holders because they're only meant for like one side of the printer. Because sometimes when when your printer decides to things start to move on your printer, you could run into problems. So definitely be careful with that. Be aware of what you're doing. And some modifications you don't necessarily need. Some of the attachments and things you'll find over time. read the reviews of things that people have printed. And yeah,
Speed
tool
run through the
holders, I
rest
would
of
be
these.
really careful. Yeah.
So feet are
Uh,
something you can print. You can print them in, some of them are designed to be
mhm,
printed in a hard filament like PLA to help
mhm.
absorb shock. Otherwise, you can print stuff in TPU, raise your printer up a bit, or replace the like stuck-on ones in your printer. Those tend to fall off. Control box is something you can print that is functional. If you have a printer, let's say you're printing ABS and your printer board overheats, you can actually reroute all your electronics outside of your printer and then put it outside your enclosure. A little more work, but it's possible to do. Or if you have a control box that's already separate, you can reprint one, mount your existing board, add in a Raspberry Pi, etc. That's a good one. Printing out an enclosure for Raspberry Pi. Do that. Don't just have a random Raspberry Pi lying on your desk. It has exposed metal on it.
Yeah,
And we use
for
screwdrivers and screws. Filament spool holder, we have that one.
Cable management.
Yes, my favorite. This is my new favorite all-time cable management thing. So the split loom cloth, whatever material this is, sleeves. So
Nylon,
they're split.
Is it nylon?
It's probably a nylon, but it's split. So you can just put this over an existing cable. You don't have to route stuff through it. There's no like single use. So you just put this on your printer and you can add stuff in the future. And it's not plastic. Some of the printers I have are plastic and they crinkle every time they move. This one, it doesn't. You can, any direction, just works. I highly, highly, highly recommend this style. It's Petchy. I have no idea what these are, but they are really good.
There we go. All right. What else do we have here? Oh, the flex sheet alignment tool. This is a game changer for me. I have it on my, definitely have it on my focus. Let me see if I can switch to that camera. Can I switch to that camera? Let's see. Nope, not working. Thanks, Liz. Bright one, Liz. Okay, so that camera's not on. It's basically I have on the because I replaced the glass plate with a flex plate. You put the magnet on the glass and then you put the flex plate on top of that magnet. Every time I went to put the my flex plate back onto the focus, it would misalign and go too far back. So you can attach this to the clips on your printer, and it's a backstop. So there's different things like that you can, depending on your printer, but this one was one that was created and has helped me a lot. And for different printers too, yeah, there's things like the bed pulling handles. Depending on your printer, there's, yeah, like we said, there's all sorts of printed accessories that you can use for that. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of things. There's even more, and I'm sure that we'll revisit this. Yes, DC, you are correct. You are pretty much correct. There are some people that just design things that are really useful for people, and we appreciate that. We really do. It's amazing, especially when you come up with an idea. Hey, I'm going to talk about an idea. Go a little off topic, but when I first got my 3D printer, Fix and Do designed a shamrock garland. Not a printer accessory, but definitely something decorative. And actually hidden back here is his garland for this year. So you'll get to see that soon. Stay tuned. But yeah, St. Patrick's garlands, fun stuff. But it's really nice when someone has but yeah, when you talk about something that you'd like to see and then someone actually creates it. And we do have a giveaway, so make sure that you're entered here. Yeah. There's all sorts of things that people make that are practical.
One last shout out. I was going to mention these. These I got today, actually. So different subscription boxes that you order might come with tools. And it surprises me because every time I get stuff that I probably should have had, or just kind of like, huh, that's a good idea. So this is from the latest Alien 3D project kit, and it's a bunch of prying tools and spudgers and all kinds of stuff that I've been kind of thinking that I need, but I never remembered to get or didn't know that this kit existed. So that's a good way to get stuff. I think some places like Sparta sometimes throw in different tools, etc.
Absolutely. Speaking of Sparta, I wanted to mention that in MakerDeck's Discord, we have a sales and deals section. And one thing, Sparta is offering some bulk discounts on pearl filament right now. So make sure you take a look at what Joe has said. And of course, anybody that knows Sparta, they usually throw some fun stuff in with your order. And if you use code MakerDeck, you save 10%. That's
awesome.
Not really an ad. It's just us being friendly, because Sparta has been very friendly to MakerDeck, and Joe's constantly printing on MakerDeck. I think it's really fun when you see people just jump right in, and we've had quite a few people recently just jump right in. And last week, what was it? Last Thursday, we had 8 people printing with bamboos. We've had 8 people printing with Prusas and 8 people printing with Enders, and before, but it was kind of fun to see all the bamboos lined up. So, printed solid. Does printed solid still include airheads? I believe they do. Yeah, a lot of companies. Yeah. I think for Sparta they might not include candy, but they include weapons. Yeah, but because it's Canadian, so. All right.
That is the entries for the giveaway. I'm closing that out. Oops, looks like we got a last minute one. You just snuck in. All right.
Where's your gummy bears? Here's your gummy bears tonight.
Yes. These are now my favorite by far. They're going to have one. Thank you for bringing it up. So, you're procrastinating so you can have more time to enter the giveaway. That's what it is.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes. Eat your candy. Candy and 3D printing goes very well together. As you're watching your stuff print, you snack on candy.
I actually still have my Prusa gummy bears because I'm allergic to pineapple, and
PTFE cutter. Get one of those.
Oh,
that's PTFE
yes.
straight.
I have one too.
That's like sitting right there, like right up front
Krusty
of my.
Krusty gave me mine actually. Krusty gave me mine from Capricorn. So there you go. Krusty's in chat.
Yes. Yeah, we could do this all day. We can do this all day, but
we could talk forever.
Unpin that link, and then I will do the draw. Share my screen. See this one.
Let me unpin the message. Voila! Can I take myself off here?
I do this. There we go.
There we go.
And we still talk.
Voila! Look at all these entries. Thank you, everybody.
Pretty good today. Nice. So this is for a spool of Polymaker filaments, PLA, PHG, ABS, ASA. In the US, you'll be receiving a coupon code to be used on the US or Canada store. I can share some lube recommendations, sure.
Cheese bacon, always.
This is our 3rd iteration of this show, so let's get number between 1 and 3. Specifically, the whatever series we're calling this. Printer upgrades, printer beginner tips. So 1 and 3.
Well, someone did AI this, and so the title of tonight is, it came from someone's AI. Enhancing your 3D printing experience.
Very cool.
So, we had fun with this. And thank you, DC. Thank you, everybody, for your kind comments and encouragement.
1 and 3. 1 and 3. We got a 7, a 6, a 3, an E, a 9. 3. 1, 2, 3. Like, the number 3.
6. Let's do 6. Next week's show is going to be on the 6th.
Jeez.
And we don't actually have a topic for next week. So if you have any suggestions for the topic, I think it should just be whatever I want to do.
All right. I see a 3. I see more than 1 3.
Deux, trois.
1, 2, 3.
Uno,
and
dos,
who's
tres.
it gonna be? One lucky winner tonight. It's gonna be Cheeseburger, are you in chat?
Cheeseburger, cheese bacon. I did call you cheeseburger earlier, so cheese
Great,
bacon.
looks like we got a winner. So let's see. There we go. Perfect.
Cheeseburger. Okay, where are you?
Not letting that down.
There you go. Rigged.
All right, I'm marking
There
you
you
down
go.
on here. Cheeseburger.
And why was someone whose name is cheese bacon? Why would you need to know about lube? You should know about greasy things. So anyway, congratulations. Yeah, and cheese bacon's been doing lots and lots of models, so definitely needs some filament to help with the model creation. So.
Yeah, there we go. And
Yeah.
one last plug. If you want to get a cool shirt like this, made by Dude, amazing designer, go check out the MakerDeck store for MakerDeck related things like shirts, stickers, clocks. That's my clock. I shelved the clock.
What is the MakerDeck.shop?
MakerDeck clock.
Dude, can you tell us the link? Dude's in chat. I'm so lost without my Discord commands, so definitely yeah. Or run over into not my Discord commands, my Twitch commands. Twitch. Run over there
YouTube
and find the link.
We can.
Yeah.
We can. We should be able
Really?
to.
Okay.
That'd be nice.
We'll do that next. So yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us. We were thrilled to have like a nice crowd. I see 20 thumbs up. I'd like to see more than 20 thumbs up for this video because we work hard for this,
Yeah, we're not stopping until we get that.
MakerDeck.store. There you go. MakerDeck.store. And I need to get some more stuff from the MakerDeck.store for sure. Yeah. Well, here we go. Another, I think, is this episode 6 of Z and Z on YouTube? Yeah. And we're going to keep on going.
Yeah. So what do we do next week? Do we have any topics yet?
No.
What do you guys want? What do you guys want next week as a topic?
What do you guys want to do next week? Are we gonna do Q&A? Are we gonna do like something fun? Like Q&A. Yeah, we could do Q&A. Do something fun. Q&A.
Q.
Q&A.
We could do Z and A.
A to Z.
A to Z.
A to Z.
A to Z. No, A to Z.
We could talk lube for sure.
Lots of lube.
We could talk about filament.
Oh,
pizza party.
Taco Bell.
I don't have Taco Bell here. Not fair.
You can get Tim's.
I could get Tim's. Yeah, I
think that's the issue. Like, I think we both just need food at this point.
Yeah, I've got some lentil soup. If anyone wants to come over.
Q&A.
RC says 3D models that you found that you think are cool, even if you haven't printed them. Yeah, that's for sure. 3D models that I'd love to have. 3D model. There is an A&W down the street, Mr. Rick, so I could have A&W. Poutine. I could have poutine. I'm not eating on stream. Sorry, guys. But oh yeah, actually, I wanted to show you this. I don't know. Did I show you this, zombie?
What is it?
I found something. It's from my Pez collection. This is a Zamboni Pez dispenser. It's very Canadian. It's Toronto Maple Leafs too, but yeah, it's a Zamboni.
We have hockey.
Yeah,
that stuff.
you have hockey.
Not very good at it, but we
have a Zamboni Pez dispenser though, so you know. Yeah.
Printing disaster stories. I think you get that every time.
Oh.
I start up the stream with a printing disaster story.
Yeah. How many functioning printers do you have right now, Austin?
Functioning. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
This
4.
is a record.
I have 4. Well,
and I have
5. One of them needs a PEI.
I have one that works. I have one that works, but it needs a new motherboard, and another one that needs to be leveled so badly, but it did just successfully print a rose in phase mode.
Technically, the rooks work, so that's 7. Technically, this king rune works. That's no, it doesn't. I killed the hot end again.
And poor Mud Wars has 0. So well, that's actually one benefit of both the Discord and of course the chat both here and over on Twitch. We definitely have people that are willing to help you troubleshoot. Just be patient and be grateful, and we're here to help for sure. All right.
All right.
So,
Well, that being
thank you
said,
for joining us for another Z and Z.
my name is Z,
And I'm Zed.
and this is the end of the show. Bye.
Merci beaucoup et à bientôt, mes amis. Keep making. Bye.
Bye. And cut.